up and do my thing. I want to get into it, man, you know. Like a sex machine, man. Moving, doing it, you know. Can I count it off? 1, 2, 3.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
In March of 2017, AMD's very first Ryzen CPUs hit the market. Built on an innovative new architecture the company had been working to bring to market for years, the CPUs became an instant hit, ending more than a decade of market dominance from main competitor Intel. Over the next 3 years, AMD doubled its market share on Windows desktops, a growth rate that is absolutely unheard of in the PC hardware space. Undoubtedly, this unprecedented shift in market share was a result of AMD innovating, developing a superior product, and capitalizing on years of complacency from their main competitor. But I actually think there's more to it than that. Not only is the AMD success story an example of a phenomenon that influences the affairs of multinational corporations, it's a phenomenon that can help us decide what we should pursue, how we should pursue it, and perhaps most importantly, when we should quit. AMD's target market exemplifies a kind of competitive dynamic that confuses our brain's intuitive assumptions. In lots of competitive arenas, rewards tend to increase linearly or exponentially along with your skill. Olympic runners make more than varsity runners make more than high school runners, for example. This makes intuitive sense to us. The better you get at doing the thing that you do, the more material or reputational success you receive. There are other markets though, where having only a small edge is all that matters, where the best competitor wins everything and their only slightly less good counterpart gets completely left in the lurch. Imagine 2 gas stations, for example, side by side. They're both selling the exact same product from the exact same pump, so really all they're competing on is price, which for both gas stations currently stands at, say, $2. Let's say now that Station A drops their price to $1.98, and now every customer that drives past the 2 stations is going to stop at Station A, leaving Station B with no customers at all. Here you have 2 businesses selling the exact same product in the exact same place. Due to a tiny advantage in price, one competitor wins everything where the other is left to wither and die. This goes against our intuitive assumptions, where we think that if you have 2 competitors and one's doing slightly less than the other, then it might receive slightly less rewards, whereas in this case, a slight advantage leads to a huge gulf in results. Now, this is the dynamic I want to learn from today. It means that in some pursuits your rewards increase along with your skill level, while in others you see absolutely no results until you hit some magic tipping point and succeed on an incredible scale. So what causes these magic winner-take-all environments? I think there are a few factors in business and in life that contribute to this dynamic. Now, the first thing is objective measurements of value. In order for a market to shift products on a dime, the product has to provide a benefit which is fairly measurable and objective. In 2017, for example, AMD began to beat Intel because it simply offered processors that were faster at the same price. There was very little in terms of personal preference there. The AMD CPUs were just measurably better. Apple and Samsung, on the other hand, don't have the same dynamic as Intel and AMD because the newest iPhone and the newest Galaxy aren't directly comparable, and what makes a good phone for you will differ from what makes a good phone for me. What makes a good gaming CPU, though, will be pretty much the same for the both of us. Now, second, we have repeated gains. Now, for a market to be able to facilitate such a rapid market share switch, customers usually have to be buying fairly frequently. For example, we should expect power companies to behave in the same way as our gas stations, with the cheapest company getting all the customers. But the problem is that the cheapest company is changing all the time, and once you sign up for one, it's often not worth switching in order to receive the price benefit. Most sources I can find seem to suggest that most PC gamers upgrade their rigs about once every 3 years, which happens to be exactly how long it took for AMD to overtake Intel. Now, the third reason is demand capacity. If the top performer in a market can't facilitate the demand of all customers, then some of those customers will be forced to go to the runner-up. For example, if some Moneyball statistician determines that Peyton Manning is the best quarterback in the NFL, is that a good reference? I don't really know much about American football. Then all of the customers in this case NFL teams, will want to buy from Peyton Manning. The only problem though is that Peyton Manning's capacity is very limited. He can only play for one team. And so this limitation allows for all other second-rate quarterbacks to exist. Now, I know there's a pretty small chance that any of the viewers of this video are running large companies engaged in economic perfect competition, but I think the implications of this mental model can be applied to our personal lives as well. If you're striving towards something, working towards a goal, how do you know if you're actually making progress or if you're just spinning your wheels? How do you know when it's time to re-examine your strategy or maybe just quit altogether? If you're a runner or a YouTuber, for example, this equation is very simple. Are your 100 meter times going down? Is your view count going up? The better you get at serving your audience, generally speaking, the more views you'll garner. You should expect to see results, in other words, increase along with your skill level. If you are, however, trying to make the next king of stock trading apps, then chances are you'll see very little traction in the beginning until you become just a little bit better than your nearest competitor, in which case the success should start to flood in, and in fact we have seen this with apps like Robinhood over the past few years. Now, funnily enough, this boomer meme actually sums up this kind of dynamic in about the best, most concise way I can find. Here you don't receive diamonds in proportion to how much work you put in. Instead, no matter how much blood, sweat and tears that go into it, you won't see any signs of success at all until, in one glorious moment, you break through. Now, when we're striving for something in our professional or personal lives, it's easy to talk ourselves into quitting if we're not seeing results, or equally to keep spinning our wheels for long after what's warranted if we think about whether we're trying to achieve as distance running or diamond mining, we can gain some insight about whether we're hopelessly lost or just inches from victory.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.